Kadosh, Boker Or, Masechet Kiddushin Daf Lamed Amud Aleph 30a1. Yesterday we finished off by speaking about the entire concept of getting married early, of the beracha that it is to come and to get married early. And comes Rav Chastan, he says, listen, if I would have gotten married even before, right? He says if I would have been, he got married, he says over here at 16, and therefore he was able to learn Torah b'li kedusha tahara. If he would have got married at 14, he would have thought to say maybe it's a havamina, right? That he's saying to the Satan, right? Gira be'enecha, which means like gira be'ene disitna, which is basically, like I'm throwing, I'm shooting arrows in the eyes of the Satan. But rather be'emet, it would have been even better. Amale Rava leRav Natan bar Ami, says Rava to Rav Natan bar Ami. Adiadach al tzavare divrich. He says, as long as you have your hands on the tzavar, on the neck of your son, which means that you still are able to control him, right? So therefore, you have to actually come and you have to actually give him the musar, right? Why? Because that's when you're able to. So when is that? It's from the age of 16 until 22. So from 16 until 22, you're still able to come and to control your son, and you have to give it to them on the head, as they say. Right? Some people say no. From 18 until 24. Until 24. So says the Gemara, meaning, what is the gil that you're able to come and you're able to make sure that he's going to listen to you? Now, obviously, if it's going to be much older, he's going to kick you. He's going to, that's it. He wants freedom, he wants out, he wants this, he wants that, right? And that's the thing. So says the Gemara, Ketanai. What does it mean, Ketanai? He comes and he says, it's a machloket tanaim. Right? What exactly is a machloket tanaim? It says, Chanoch lenar al pi darko. We know that there's a mitzvah to do chinuch according to the path of the child. So Rabbi Yehuda and Nechemia, there's machloket. Rabbi Yehuda and Nechemia, one of them says, it says from 16 to 22. The Chadaman, one of them says, it's going to be 18 until 24, but not more than that. So basically, there's going to be a machloket, the same machloket of the Moraim is going to be the same machloket of the Tanaim, until when is basically going to be this concept of that you should give chinuch to your child in order that as long as you have your hand on his neck still, that you're able to come and to educate him. Right? Some people, they already want to give up by bar mitzvah nowadays, and some people even before bar mitzvah. But right, we know that it's afterwards. You understand? It's not, that's the way it is. Fine. Says the Gemara, Ad heichan chayav adam lemed benot Torah. Until when is a person obligated to teach his child Torah? Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Shmuel, says Shmuel, Kigon Zevulun ben Dan, right? For example, like a Talmid that he was named Zevulun ben Dan, Shelimdo avi aviv mikra u'mishnah v'talmud halacha v'agadot. That basically his grandfather taught him Chumash, Mishnayot, Gemara, Halachot, v'agadot. Okay, so here means it's not obviously Talmud is not the Gemara really, right? Because it wasn't written then. It was basically like the reasonings of the Mishnayot and everything, which at the end became Gemara, and that's why it was called Talmud. Okay, so basically what we're trying to say is that you're obligated to come and teach mamash, much further down. So says the Gemara, we're going to ask the question. He says, 1 second, right? If you already taught him Chumash, you don't have to teach him Mishnah. Why? It was already enough that you taught him Chumash. So it says Rabbi says Mikra zo, right? Torah. Mikra is Torah. So it comes out that it's not even Nevi'im Uktuvim, it's only the Torah. It's only the 5 books of Moses. So it comes out, right, that mamash, that why does he have to come and start teaching him Mishnah, Talmud, Halachot? Teach him Chumash. That's it. You're obligated to teach your child Torah, Chumash. That's it. So answers the Gemara, it's like Kizvulun ben Dan. That means even a person is obligated to teach his grandson Torah. Because here we weren't even talking about his son. This is his grandson. And you see from here that the grandfather is obligated to teach the grandson Torah. But not like Zevulun ben Dan. The Dilu is over there. It was Mikra, Mishnah, Talmud, and Halacha v'agadot. But here, right, the Chiyuv be'emet is Mikra bilvad. It's only Chumash. You don't have to do anything else. Not even Nevi'im, Tuvim, nothing, nada. Yeah? So ask the Gemara, are you going to tell me that a grandfather is obligated to come teach his grandchild Torah? We learned in a Braita, it's only benechem. You have to teach your children Torah, but not your grandchildren. Not lo benechem. What am I going to be mekayim in the pasuk? V'adatam levanecha v'livnei vanecha. You have to teach your children and children's children. There it's mashma grandchildren. Lo malecha shekol maleveh b'not Torah. Mali lo katuv kilu nimdo lo v'livno v'liveh b'not. He says no. The pshat in the pasuk is that if you teach somebody Torah, it's as if that it's ki'ilu. You taught him, his son, and his grandson until all the generations. Because basically what happens is that when you come and you give over the Masoret, it continues going on in the path. So therefore you came here, but it's not that you're obligated to come and teach your grandson. Really, you're only obligated to teach your son, but not your grandson. But this is what the pasuk is referring to. So answers the Gemara, no. Who Dama Shmuel says, like this Tanya. The Tanya learned in a Braita, that's only going to be your children. How do you know that you're obligated to teach your grandchild? No, you actually learn from the pasuk that you are obligated to come and teach your grandchild. So says the Gemara, so then what does the word benechem come teach you? So answers the Gemara, this is what we learned yesterday. Benechem velo benotechem. It's your sons and not your daughters. Here we learned that your daughters are not obligated, you're not obligated to teach them Torah, but they're not chayav in Torah. They learn it from benechem velo benotechem. Meaning it's not benechem velo benechem, your grandchildren. But it's really bad, you are obligated to teach your grandchildren because of the pasuk. But rather it's benechem velo benotechem. Okay. Says the Gemara. Amar Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, says Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, Kol hamelamed ben benot Torah, if you're going to come and teach your grandchild Torah, ma'aleh alav hakatuv ki'ilu kibela mehar Sinai. It's ki'ilu he received it from Har Sinai. Shneimar v'otam levanecha v'livnei vanecha v'samichle yom asher amata lifnei Hashem Elokecha b'chorev. Meaning the juxtaposition of the pasuk, the fact that it's written in close proximity. The day that you stood in Chorev, Chorev is Har Sinai. So since it's written over there that the day that you stood in front of Hashem in Chorev, and it's written right beside there, v'otam levanecha v'livnei vanecha, so it comes to teach you that if you're going to come and you're going to teach vanecha v'livnei vanecha, which means to your children and your grandchildren, you're going to teach them Torah. So therefore, it's like they accepted it on Har Sinai. Okay, fine. Rabbi Hiya bar Abba, Ashkechel Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, the Shadi Disna Reshe. Now Hiya bar Abba found Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, right, when he had a sadin on his head, right? That means basically he was going out and he didn't have to put it on like normal people, but rather he just covered his head with a sadin, right, in order not to go with Gilui Rosh. That means he didn't want to go with his head uncovered, so he just uncovered, but he didn't do it like normally what people do. And he was taking a child to the Bet Knesset to learn Torah. Elmaleh, he told him, "My kulihai." So what are you running? Like, well, why, put on your head, put on put everything normally. Sometimes you have that with children that they're coming and like they're running for the carpool. They have the shoes in their hand, the backpack. I don't know what. They don't have get everything ready. Yeah. So Elmaleh, he says, "Mizutar my dichtiv odatam levanecha v'samich leyom Hashem matam levanecha Hashem Elokecha b'chorev." Says, what is it so small, such a minute concept? That basically it's written and then Yom HaShelamata Mikam Ve'elach, right? What does that mean? That means basically he was trying to actually understand that if you're going to teach your child, right, Torah, it's ki'ilu you accept it in Har Sinai. So therefore he comes and he says Mikam Ve'elach. From then onwards, he wouldn't even take Basar Tzalui in the morning until he used to come and first learn with him, and that which they used to do Chazarah, and then he always used to teach them an extra pasuk. Right? Okay, there's a whole thing here over here exactly. That was kilu. He was always adding an extra pasuk to be mekayem ve'odatam levanecha, which is like a hoda'ah. It's like a yediyah. It's like something new. So he always used to, even if he would always do chazara, right? But doing chazara is not considered a new hoda'ah. Hoda'ah means I'm making you get a new yediyah. A new yediyah means something new. So therefore, you're right. You always have to do chazarot, right? Kinya Masechta. But right, the concept is not only just the thing. It's also that it's always something new. It's only just chazarot. There has to be something new. So every single day, something new also. That's what he used to come and he used to do. So basically, he went and he actually basically showed him the importance of what it is. That since it's going to be like receiving a Tanan Sinai, so therefore they used to come and he realized, look how important it is. I have to come, I have to teach, I have to do this first, because that's like the receiving of the Torah and Har Sinai. He would not eat unsa until they used to come first take the child to the Bet Midrash, meaning that the first thing is take the children to Bet Midrash. And then afterwards, okay, now you can have your breakfast, you can have this, that. Very interesting, because it's mashma from here. They used to eat mamash basar tzalui in the morning. Like that was their breakfast. Yeah? No, but that's afterwards. Yeah. But mamash, we're talking about mamash, mamash meat. Yeah, mamash meat in the ala boker. Yeah, fine. Amar Rav Safra Mishum Rav Yoshua ben Chananya. Says Rav Safra, name of Yoshua ben Chananya. I think there was in the pasuk the Shinantam Levanecha, right? That he says that it's going to come. And you have to teach your children, right? Remember, it's Vishinantam Levanecha, not Vishinantam Levanecha. Yeah, Vishinantam Levanecha. So he comes and he says, Al tikre Vishinantam ela Vishilashtam. Don't learn it Vishinantam. You have to teach it, but rather, right? Because basically the word of Shinun is usually mashma like a chazara, which is actually going to be like 2 times, right? Because you could just say v'shanitem. What's v'shinantam? So he comes and he says v'shilashtam. Shilashtam means 3 times. What do you mean 3 times? Which means the person should always divide his learning, a third in mikra, a third in mishnah, and a third in Talmud. Okay, so therefore it's basically going to be a third, because that's basically the concept, right, of what a person has to actually come and they have to do. Okay, fine. Says the Gemara. Okay, so now he comes and he says like this. So says the Gemara, one second. Until now, what did we just learn? We learned in the Gemara that ki'ilu, you're supposed to divide your life into 3. 1/3 Chumash, 1/3 Mishnah, and 1/3 the Tamya Mishnah, which is nowadays like what we call Gemara. So says the Gemara, you know how long you're going to live? How are you going to know how long you're going to live? That you're going to come and you're going to start saying, 1 second, he's going to live 40 years, 60 years, 80 years. So how do you do this? Divide your life in 3. How do you do that? So says the Gemara, Lotzicha, what are we talking about? Yomeh. Talking about the days of the week, right? Which means that every single week, you're going to come and you're going to divide your time. 2 days for Mikra, 2 days for Mishnah, and 2 days for Gemara. Lefichach, and therefore, Nikra'u Rishonim Sofrim. The first rabbis were called Sofrim, right? What does that mean? Not because they used to be a sofer, nothing to do with it, but rather because Shayu Sofrim Kol Otiyot Torah. They used to come and count all the letters in the Torah. Ad Shayu Omrim, until they used to say Vav de Gachon, right? Do you know that the Vav of Gachon is long? Chetzian Shel Otiyot Shel Sefer. Do you know that's the middle of the Torah? Darosh Darash, the words Darosh Darash, it's Chetzian Shel Tevot. So basically, you have Kol Olech Al Gachon, Kol Olech Al Arba, right? Parashat Shemini. Yeah, you have over there is the Memphis Parashat Shemini. Yeah. Yeah. So as we say, the right Parashat Shemini, you have both. You have half the Torah in letters and half the Torah, right, in words. One more time, you have words and letters. Yeah. Yeah. So he comes and he says that is the thing, and then you have Vidgalach, right? Vidgalach is not in Parashat Shemini, right? That's why I didn't mention it. Vidgalach is later on. Right, Tazriyat Tara. There it's Chetzian Shel Psukim. There it's the half of Psukim. So in obviously Vayikra is the middle. It's the middle book, obviously, correct? You have Bereshit Shemot, then Vayimim Devarim. So Vayikra is in the middle. So therefore, in Parashat Shmini, you have both half of the Torah, whether it's going to be in Otiyot and also in Psukim. And then when it's going to be in Parashat Shemini, you're going to come and you're going to have not the Shmini, the Tazriyat Tara, you're going to have Vitkalach, is going to be the Psukim. Hechal Semena.
Before is letters and words. You said letters and Psukim.
Sorry. Okay, okay. Right? Shel Psukim. So he says Yechal Semena Chazir Miya'ar. Haot Ayin from the Ya'ar is Chetzian Shel Tehillim, meaning in chapter Ayin Chet, right? Ayin Chet is actually, right, 78. So it's actually a little bit more than half because there's 150 chapters. So in chapter 78 in Tehillim, the Ayin of Yechasemena Chazir Miya'ar, right? He comes and he says that is going to be the half of the Tehillim in Otiyot. The Hurahum Yehaper Avon is going to be Chetzi in the Pesukim. Okay, and that's obviously going to be also, right? Also the same thing over there. It's so he comes and he says, according to the Minyan Psukim of us, it's actually going to be by Fatu B'Fiem, which is not, it's 2 Psukim before V'urachum, right? Some people want to say that that even in the Minyan Psukim, we're not 100% Bekim, not Bekim, whichever one it is, it could be, but basically it's 2 Psukim before V'urachum Yechaper Avon, so therefore you have the half of the Otiyot and the half of Psukim. It doesn't tell you which is the half of the tevot, of the words, which is actually very interesting, why we don't actually mention that, but fine. So by Rav Yosef comes and he asks the following question. Vav de gachon, the vav of gachon, mehai gisa or mahai gisa. Are you going to tell me 1 second? You just told me that the vav of gachon is the half. Which half? Meaning it's part of the first half or it's part of the second half? Second, it's like advad bichlal or not. Exactly. So the question is, what are you going to tell me now? So he comes and he says, Elmaleh, he comes and he says, Neti sefer Torah, v'amninu. Just bring a sefer Torah, right? And let's check it, right? Let's check where is the vav, right? So Mino Amar Rabba Barachana didn't lo zazu misham and shaviu sefer Torah umanu. They actually went and they counted it. Well, you think they were joking, right? Nowadays we'd say it would be lazy, so counting it to I don't know what they call it, the Google search, or what are these seven things, a computer, and you check. No. They took it as a Torah and they started counting. Yeah, that's what they actually did. Wow. So he comes and he says like this. He says, Elmaleh, he comes and he says, Inu bekiye b'chaserot v'yeterot. He comes and he says, no, you know what happened? Those chachamim, they were experts in chaserot and yeterot, and therefore they knew which ones had vav, which ones didn't have a vav, which ones had a yod, which one doesn't. I don't know, we're not bekiim, so therefore we cannot know the minyana meduyak because we're not experts, right, in the letters of the Torah, and therefore there's nothing to do. Fine. By Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef comes and he asks the following question. Vidgalach now. So if you're going to tell me now that you had, right, the gachon, right, and now you're coming and you're telling me, right, vidgalach. Again, we skipped out the milim, which is basically the rosh darash. We went to the vidgalach, which is psukim. So we only did otiotum psukim. We skipped out the milim and tilim bichlal. We didn't bring down the one of the tevot, right? We only just brought down the otiot and the psukim. So he says, so he comes and he says, Bay Rav Yosef, vidgalach v'agisa v'agisa, which is it the first half, last half? So Abaye says, Suke mi halete nimnuye. He says, I don't understand. We're not going to be bekim in the otiyot. You're going to tell me that we're not going to be bekim at least in psukim? Saying, listen, I understand an ot. Sometimes you can have an ot that is maleh, chaser, meaning that the letters, right? Sometimes you could have, so fine, but a pasuk is a pasuk, meaning you don't have like all of a sudden there's a machlok, meaning there's a masoret or something that you could have. Yeah, but not to do with the psukim. So he comes and he says that the psukim nami lo bekim. We're also not bekim in the psukim. The chiata Rav Acha barada, but when Rav Acha barada came, Amar, he said, Marava paskil aikra. Do you know in Eretz Israel they divide this pasuk in 3 different psukim? Okay, 3 different psukim. What's the 3 different psukim? Right? He comes and he says, right, like this. He says the 3 different psukim is Vayomer Hashem el Moshe, Hina nochi ba elecha be'av ve'anan. Then it says Ba'avur yishma am medabrim yach v'gam b'chayim yinu l'olam. And then Vayagem Moshe divrei am al Hashem, which means by us, this is in Parashat Yitro, by us, it's 1 pasuk.
Yeah?
Yes, by us it's all 1 pasuk. 1 pasuk. In Eretz Yisrael, they come and they divide this 1 pasuk into 3 psukim. So therefore, even in the minyan of psukim, we are also not going to be exactly medaikim or so on and so forth because we're not really actually sure. Okay, fine. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned in a Braita. Okay, 5,888 psukim havu, right? Psuke Sefer Torah. He comes and he says like this: there's going to be 5,888 pesukim, right, in the Sefer Torah. Okay, so he says Yater alav Tehillim. When we're going to come and we're going to compare it to Tehillim, Tehillim has 8 more, shmona more than the Sefer Torah. Okay, so the 5,888, right? The Tehillim. Which one? Yeah, this psukim. Yeah, and in Tehillim you're going to have the 5,896. Okay, so he comes and he says, Chaser mimenu divrei yamim shmona. Now in the Sefer Divrei Yamim, you have 8 psukim less than the Sefer Torah. So one more time, you've got 5,888 in the Sefer Torah. Tehillim has 8 more, and Divrei Yamim has 8 psukim less. Huh? What was it? We learned in a Braita. Veshinantam. What does it mean, Veshinantam? Shinantam, right? Remember the Veshinantam means not only Shinun, but it's which is like Chazara, it's also Chidud. Chidud, like lechaded something, right? Chad is sharp. So what does that mean exactly? Shiyu divrei Torah mechudadim beficha. Divrei Torah have to be very sharp in your mouth. What does that mean? Somebody's going to ask you something. אל תגמגם ותאמר לו. Don't start being מגמגם. אמור לו מיד. Tell him immediately. What does that mean? שנאמר, but it says in a pasuk, right? למד עמוד ב', אמור לחוכמה, אחותיית. You have to tell the chokhmah that you are my sister. What does that mean? Right? ואומר, and it says in a pasuk, kashrem על אצבעותיך, כתבם על לוח ליבך. Right? You have to come and you tied them on your fingers and you wrote them on your heart. So it says, ואומר, and it says, כחיצים ביד גיבור, like arrows in the hand of the strong man, ken bnei הנעורים, so too is during their youth. So ואומר, and it says, חיצי גיבור שינונים, right? The חיצים, the arrows of the גיבור, right, are שינונים, or chadim. ואומר, and it also says, חיציך שינונים עמים תחתיך יפלו, right? That through your חיצים, they're going to come and they're going to fall, the nations. ואומר, and it says, אשר הגבר אשר מילא את אשפתו מהם. Fortunate is the person that he filled up his garbage bags, his garbage from them. They weren't embarrassed. They were going to speak about it in the sha'ar. What does it mean, etoivim b'sha'ar? אמר חייא בר אבא, אפילו האב ובנו, הרב ותלמידו שעוסקים בתורה בשער אחד, even if you have a father and a son, or a rabbi and a student, that they're learning Torah together in a sha'ar, נעשים אויבים זה זה. They become enemies. They become enemies. Right? Why? Because when you're learning Torah, you become an enemy. They don't leave from there until they love each other. Which means at the end, right? And there's some milchamot Hashem, right? The milchamot, which means when you learn Torah, you become like an enemy because you actually want to know the truth. So you want to try to find out what is the truth. You don't just come in like that. So therefore, you have to come, right? And you pay attention to what's going on. Okay, fine. Tanu Rabbanan. We learned in a Braita, right? V'samtem. By the way, when it says to do with the concept of Elmaleh chokhmah achotiyat, right? The Gemara actually comes and it says that just like you know that achotcha hi asura lecha, it's barur lecha, so too, right? The same thing. This is a drasha in Shabbat kuf memeh mubet. Keshem shebarur lecha sheachotcha asura lecha, and there's no sfekot, so too it should be barur lecha without any sfekot as well. Meaning that's how the chokhmah should be. It should be very, very clear. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned in the Braita. What does it mean when it says in the pasuk v'samtem? Right? Not v'samtem, v'samtem. So it says v'samtem et dvarai elal v'achem al nashchem. V'samtem sam tam. What does that mean? Sam is a remedy. Tam, right, is complete. Right? Tam v'nishlam. Right? You're finishing something. Right? So it says nimshelat Torah kesam chayim. You know that the Torah is compared to Sam Chaim, right? The remedy of life. Imagine right now you come and you give a makat to your child, but then you come and you put him on a bandage. Right? My son, as long as the retiah, eat whatever you want. Drink whatever you want. You can wash yourself. When you're not going to be afraid of anything. But if you're going to come and you're going to take it off, harehi ma'ala nomi. It's going to come with a lot of like bubbles and boils and blisters and things like that. So to HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes and he tells Yisrael, Banai, my children, barati Yetzirah, barati lo Torah tavlim. I created the Yetzirah and I created the Torah tavlim. If you guys are going to start learning the Torah, right? So therefore you're not going to go into the hands of the Yetzirah. What does that mean? Tetiv means that you're going to become better through the Torah because the Torah is called the Lekach Tov. So im tetiv, if you're going to come, you're going to be osek b'Torah, im se'et, right? So therefore you're going to come, you're going to be carried above the Yetzirah. If you don't learn the Torah, you guys are going to be given to his hands. Not only that, he's going to just take care of you. He's just going to come and he's going to wipe the floor with you. Yeah, what does that mean? But if you're going to come and you're going to learn Torah, you're going to control him. You will come and you will control him. Another Braita. Yeah, that another Braita. One of them, yeah. He says, "Kashe Yetzer Ra shafilu yotzro keraora." We know that the Yetzer Ra is so powerful and so bad, even his own creator called him Ra. Shneimar ki yetzer lev adam Ra neurav, which means a mamash. Look, it's not simple, basically. Yeah. Amar Rav Yitzchak, says Rav Yitzchak, Yitzro shel adam mitchadesh alav b'chol yom. Do you know that the Yetzer Ra comes every single day, and he has a new tactic? He's got a new battle plan. Comes, he's, rak ra kol hayom. Every day is different. The Yetzer Ra wants to kill him also. If what Hakadosh Baruch Hu comes and he's going to help him, we cannot against the Yetzer Ra. As it says in a pasuk, Hashem lo yazvenu v'yado. Hashem will not come and leave him, abandon us in his hands. So therefore, right, look how important it is. Tanad of Ishmael, right? Rabbi Ishmael came in the thought. Im paga becha menuval ze. If the menuval actually comes and he checks you out and he gets you, moshcheu lebet midrash. I don't know if you've ever seen how many times I go and I try to pull people into the bet midrash. But the menuval has them, right? What does that mean? Mamash Yetzer Ra has them. So he says, Im even hu nimoach. If he's going to be an Evan, he's going to be nimoach, he's going to be melted. And if he's going to be metal, he's going to crash, right? To smash. So the Torah, which is like the Dvar Hashem, is nimshala le'esh, and just like the esh comes and it destroys the barzel, so too it's going to be mitpotzet, hayetzer ra kabarzel from the Torah. If it's going to be a stone, it's going to come and it's going to melt. Hoi kol sameh lechu lemayim. What does that mean? Anybody that's thirsty, go to the water. The Torah is compared to the water. Go in and it says, avanim shahaku mayim. What does that mean? That just like the water carved, it's going to, I don't know how you say shahak in English. It's like it's like an erasing. It's like wear off. It's wearing off, if you want to call it. Yes. Yeah, so he says you want to, but there's a better word for it, right? Does it say anything? No. So he comes and he says, he comes and he says, just like the mayim shofakim and mesimim et ha'even, mesimim et koch nimoach afi yetzer ra kasha, so too it's going to be melted as well. Okay. We're on the two dots, where the two dots says that a father is obligated to marry off his son to a woman. Minalan. How do we know this? Yeah, Dichtiv, as it says in a pasuk, kechu nashim ve'olidu banim ubanot. Right, you're going to take women, you're going to have boys and girls, right? Uchu libnechem nashim, and take for your children women, right, wives. Ve'benotechem tidnu la'nashim, and your daughters give to men. So you see from here that since it says kechu libnechem nashim, you have a command to give to your child a wife. So that's Yosha. So says the I understand your son biado, it's in your hands. Ela bito biadoi, but your daughter, it's not your choice. The daughter, right? You don't have a choice, right? How does that happen? It's not normal for a woman to look after a man. It's normal for a man to go looking for a woman, right? That's the norm. The norm is
to look for a man for his daughter.
What?
It's okay for dad to look for shidduch for his daughter.
No, but it means though that it's always that the men are looking women to get married. It's not the woman is looking to get married. It's the men are looking for the women, not the women are looking for the men. So the Gemara's answer is Hachi Kamalu. Here's what it means to say. Niten la miedei v'nalbesha v'nichasya k'ech dekatzi ala inche. You have to give her things, which means you're gonna, dress her, cover her. You're gonna give her things in order that people should be jumping on her. Meaning that you have to give her like an edunya, a dowry, right? In order that people will come and they want to get married to her. Okay, fine. So that's what it means. It means that that's what you're giving to your daughter. That means you're giving your daughter over. It's really bad men. No, they look for you basically, right? You're not looking for them, right? But this is just the way that it is. Lelomdo manut, to come and to learn umanut. Menalen, how do we know that you're obligated to come and teach your child a profession? So Amar Chizkiah says, the Amar Kra says, pasuk, re'eh chayim misha asher ahavta. Hayim here is in umanut, right? Because basically you're going to see the chayim, the parnasa, in isha sherahavta, in isha mamash he, right? Isha sherahavta. So he says over here, it's talking about, right, that the question is, it comes out that there's a hekesh of umanut to an isha, and therefore, shekeshem chayav lasir isha, just like you're obligated to come and get your son married, so too you're obligated to come and to teach him umanut. Vim torahi, right? And if it's going talking about the Torah, because the Torah here, this pasuk is referred to the woman, kashem shechayav lelamdo Torah, just like you're obligated to learn Torah, ka chayav lelamdo manut, so too you're obligated to teach him umanut. 5. Next 2 dots. Some people say, right? You have to teach him also to swim. My time, what's reasoning? Because that's your chiyut. Right? At the end of the day, you have to remember that it's survival skills. And their survival skills was always to swim. Right? Especially in the olden days, even more than now, but even nowadays. Right? Especially in Miami. Right? But especially, why? You know, people would go on boats. So going on a boat was, remember, there was no such thing as a plane. So if you had to travel, everything was boats. So you had to know how to swim. You understand? So that's what they have to teach you. Fine. Rabbi Yehuda says, if you're not going to come, you're going to teach him umanut. It's like you're teaching him to be a thief. Says the Gemara, you really think it's teaching him to be a thief? But rather, it's like you taught him to become a thief. My benal, what's the difference between them? The difference with the difference is that if you taught him a schora, then according to Tanakama, you would say the chova, because you taught him a chayim, you taught him an umanut. According to Rabbi Yehuda, you have to teach him davka umanut of a melacha, and not of schora, because many times schora is not enough, and therefore, meaning schora is like a business. Business is not a profession. By business, you're a businessman. So okay, but sometimes the business is not enough. So you need a profession to come and to help you in order that you'll always be able to do something. Okay? Next, kol mitzvot ha'av ala ben. All the mitzvot of the father go to the son. What does that mean exactly? My kol mitzvot ha'av ala ben. If you're going to tell me now, kol mitzvot demechayev abba lemev levrei, all the mitzvot that a father is obligated to do to his son, nashim chayavot, right? You're going to tell me now that the women are going to be obligated. Right? It's only the father, not the mother. Meaning, if you're going to come and you're going to tell me that kol mitzvot ha'av ala ben, we're talking about any mitzvot you have to do to your son, and then the women are also obligated to do the same thing. It's not true. A woman's not obligated to bring me that to her son, nor the video on a ben, nor it's only the father. Some Rabbi says, whatever it's incumbent upon the child to do to the father, men and women are equal, and men and women have to do it. So Tanina Rabbanan, that's what we learn. Ish imov aviv tirao. Enli ela ish. That's what we ish. Isha minayin. How do we know that a woman is obligated to show tirao when it says tirao? It can shine. It says both. In Kematom, so why does it come to teach you ish? Right? Ish sipek biyado lasot isha sipek biyado b'nei sherushot achimanea. He has the possibility of always doing it. She doesn't. Meaning, a woman has a husband, and since she has a husband, it's very difficult for her to always to fulfill the kibud of em. But a man does not have that. So for the man, he's going to be obligated in the kibud of em. The Amar of Idi Barabin and Rav says Garsha, but once she gets divorced, Shneim Shalim. Meaning, if it's going to be that they get divorced, the woman gets divorced from her husband, now the parents are equal, and therefore now everyone is going to be the exact same thing. Because there's Shavim in the Mitzvah Kibud to their parents, right? Because now she was only P'turah because she was married. But now that she's not married, she's going to be obligated to pay back, right, what we mentioned, right? Which means that she's obligated to do the Kibud Avayim. Yeah? I think it's good to stand up. Tanu Rabbanan. We learned in a Braita. Yeah? Kabed et avicha ve'et imecha. Respect your father and your mother. It says in Pasuk, Kabed Hashem yamanecha. You have to respect Hashem from your properties. It's making equal kivud avayim to kivud hamakom. And therefore it says, Ishimo v'mitirah, v'ne'emar et Hashem lokech hatira v'todavot. Also the murah is compared to the makom to Hashem. ונאמר, it says בסוף, כלל אביו אמהות, ובת, איש כאיש, כי כללו ונצרך איתו, שפקדו ברכת וברכת המקום. אבל בהכאה, ודאי אפשר, ודאי you cannot do it. וזה יצחק ממכבי ואימו מותימת, וכן בדין, so too שלושתם, right, שותפים בו. Since all three of them are שותפים, that's why it's all equal. The kabod, the yira, it's all equal, but they're shutafim, they're partners. So therefore, the partner and the father and the mother are partners to make a child, and therefore they're partners with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's why it's going to be equal to the Kavod HaMakom and the Munah HaMakom. Tanu Rabbanan learned in the Braita, Shosha Shotim Adam, HaKadosh Baruch Hu B'Avim Imo. Izman Shadam Yechabet Et Avim Imo. If he's going to respect his parents, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Ma'aleh Aleh Kutubu Kidyon Davti B'Nechem V'Chudani. Also, it's as if that I'm living there and you're actually giving me kavod. The Tanya we learned in the Braita, Rabbi Yomer, Rabbi says, Galui Dol Lifnei Nishama V'Yaolam Shebem Mechabed Et Imo Yitel Ma'aviv. Do you know that a child respects his mother more than the father? Mipnei, because she's very nice to him. She always likes to come into, right? Therefore, but some people, they're afraid of their father more than the mother. And therefore he came and he did that one for. Have a wonderful day.